We're going to head on over to Bitcoin Cash, which surged to a fresh one-year high on Monday, more than doubling in value in the week since it was listed on EDX Markets. But is this really sustainable, Lawrence? You've been compiling some pretty interesting data over at the TIE. Break down what you found for me.
Yeah, this has been kind of a fun thing, I have to say, because Bitcoin Cash is definitely one of those currencies we don't talk a lot about here on First Mover or even CoinDesk. It comes up every now and then. It has this cult following. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to get the angry emails. I'm going to get the angry tweets. It's okay. I love you all. But, Bitcoin Cash has this kind of a cult following. It also has a strong following with people. Definitely, I know a couple of years ago, I had a lot of friends who were, loved the use of Bitcoin Cash on things like Shopify or whatever they could do. They or not Shopify, but they were using Bitcoin Cash to transact. And you take a look. There's this chart here. This is over since June 21st, when it was announced that Bitcoin Cash was going to be tradable on EDX, which we had the CEO on. And you see it just soared. I mean, none of the other coins that were on Bitcoin, that are on EDX, took off the way the way Bitcoin Cash did. It's just been a phenomenal return. We'll take a look at, we have some other charts here. I think, let's see, do we have another one there? Yeah, take a look at that. So Jen,
that is wild.
Yeah, that I want you to see what that is. So that's Bitcoin Cash over the past year, and it's just been kind of stuck in this range. To be sure, it's a wide range, right? It was not a small range. We're looking at, I don't know, I'm trying to see here right now. We were at like 90 to 140, roughly, for about a year. Now you see that little E, that stands for event. On the TIE, you can tie, you can combine news events with a chart, and you could actually graph it. And in this case, I graphed the news event of the EDX announcement. Not that they not that it exists, but that they just started trading, and Bitcoin Cash was there. That E, and then all of a sudden just took off. By the way, that chart is old. It's actually even higher now. So that tells you, like, even over the past 24 hours, now over 240. So when I sent that chart in, that's a lot has happened since then.
Yeah, we don't see charts like that often. And we're talking about the sustainability of this pump, right? So EDX Markets launched Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, Ether, Litecoin on their platform. If we see other platforms follow suit, do you think that, we could see another big pump in Bitcoin Cash? Like, is this sustainable? What's the long-term outlook here?
I don't know. And this is the thing. As I mentioned before, Bitcoin Cash has this it was a beautiful combination of things. It has this religious following, and we've talked. Litecoin is also on this, right? Litecoin didn't have this kind of result. There's another chart I want to show you, and this is kind of what happened in the markets. This is thanks to Josh Frank, he the CEO of the TIE, who he was playing around with this chart. He loves this chart. And he sent it over to me. I think we have it's open interest and liquidations, and this is fascinating because let me explain what happened. As I said, this was it was a sleepy market. So for the past several months, the only kind of liquidations you had were in the tens of thousands of dollars. Not tens of thousands of it was tens of thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin Cash. So then all of a sudden, with this news coming out, boom, all these short liquidations started happening. Those are those green lines there. And you had some red lines there too, to be sure. Those are long liquidations. People were taking on these sizable positions here. And it went from, and just looking at the long liquidations, short liquidations now, you went in dollar terms, $76 million on June 20th, right? Which was a lot. And then I apologize. You had about $21 million in total liquidations. This is over 8 days, when over in the past it was a few $1,000s. And then our open interest went from $76 million to nearly 500 million, so about 450, 500, close to 500 by yesterday. And what's interesting in that is this. Okay, so when you do it by dollar terms, it's, obviously you've doubled the price, but also you've also increased the amount of contracts. So there's there's been 4x the amount or it's now 4x the amount of contracts that are out on Bitcoin Cash than were out a few days ago. This is just a very unique thing. It seems to be isolated in Bitcoin Cash, and you see it spilling. I have another chart here. This is a chart from you're looking at Binance here. This is the Binance's. I think we're going to call it up here. This is basically the volume traded on Binance. Now, what's interesting here is you have to go back about a couple of years before you saw trades that, in terms of on Binance. And Binance is a centralized exchange. It's not EDX. It's not any of that, right? But it still saw itself a lot of volume, not seen in 2 years. It was very exciting all across the board, not just with one exchange. But remember, EDX is a small exchange. Binance, a very big exchange. These numbers, not phenomenal, but for Bitcoin Cash, incredible. This is they can't believe it. But I kind of want you to think about this other chart that I have here, this is. Look, before everyone gets excited about Bitcoin Cash, and I have friends who love Bitcoin Cash, I got it, all right?
People are already excited about Bitcoin Cash, Lawrence. Maybe it's a little late.
Well, it's beyond that. Take a look at this puppy, this thing. Now, all you hodlers out there, you know what I'm talking about, right? There's no replacement for Bitcoin other than Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin Cash people say there is only one Bitcoin, that's Bitcoin Cash, okay? I've heard those arguments, but look at the chart here. That's since the start of the decade, 2020, January 1st, 2020. Look at Bitcoin. It skyrocketed. Bitcoin Cash sort of followed afterwards. Bitcoin Cash sold off with Bitcoin, and it never really came back. Bitcoin itself, it's now what is it? We're now 4x since the beginning of 2020. Bitcoin Cash, just about where it started. It's not that exciting in that terms. And then if you look at finally, you want to look at the overall ecosystem to kind of think of just how big Bitcoin is. Now these are crypto. So this is a basket of cryptocurrencies tracked by the TIE. So it's Bitcoin is the dominant one. We don't list Ether here. Ether gets listed with the layer ones. This is sort of just sole cryptocurrencies. Number 5, Bitcoin. So it's Bitcoin Cash. It's still small. It's a little guy. It's doing its best. People like using it here and there for transactions. It's not taking over the world. And I kind of want to remind everyone what was said on here. It was actually on First Mover. We asked the CEO of Jamil Nazarali of EDX Markets, and we said, okay, why Bitcoin Cash? And he said, look, he said it wasn't. There wasn't a high demand for Bitcoin Cash. It had nothing to do with people saying we need Bitcoin Cash to trade. It was simply because it was a derivative of Bitcoin, and it was one of the few currencies that they knew would not get in trouble with the SEC. So that's kind of what that whole thing was about. It wasn't about demand. It wasn't about institutional demand. Yes, now there's one more place for it to happen. But overall, the demand still isn't quite there. So I would be very cautious right now of people jumping into this frenzy, whether or not this thing is sustainable, because it ended up on this EDX market solely because of features, but it didn't happen because of demand. And that is something you should all be careful about going forward.
All right, Lawrence, thank you so much for putting those charts together for us and painting that picture. I'd say the takeaway is Bitcoin Cash is not the same as Bitcoin here.
Don't tweet me. Please. She said it, not me.
That's part of the job, Lawrence. You're going to get tweeted at and you just got to take it.